Welcome back to the 2023 verdict, and as you've seen there, Chief David Sabo joins us next here today to talk about Taraba politics. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning. Good morning, listeners.
Well, first of all, this currency scenario that we're all grappling with, are you affected in any way by this?
Of course, when there is a major change in the currency of a country, like it's been done in Nigeria, it affects virtually everybody. There's nobody that is not affected.
But the impression out there is that it is you politicians that are causing this in the first place because you want to use it to buy votes. And that's why we're all here now.
I am sure that is an impression being held in many quarters. But the currency swap or the redesigning of the Naira is a very good program. It's a program that is meant to better the life of Nigerians ultimately at the end of the day.
But on paper, when they say, or as you say, is to improve the life of Nigerians. But speaking about vote buying, does this in any way affect what might happen on election day in terms of if anyone had any intention to buy votes?
Yeah, of course, you know, we are politicians, we are Nigerians, but the government has just not woken up to bring this policy into play without getting a lot of information. I'm sure they have a lot of reports as to politicians who have stockpiled cash, especially the 1,000 and the 500 denominations for the elections. So I'm sure this is meant to curtail vote buying.
Well, I wonder if every election will be doing this policy because politicians will always have a thing or two. So who knows? But if this is it, please, well, I can't say we shouldn't have elections because we have to. People need cash. But now we're going to Taraba.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be a happy man now because you went to court and your prayers were granted, weren't they?
I'm a very happy man. I'm a very happy man that you can see from the smiles coming from my face. I went to court. I got judgment from the lower court. I lost at the appeal court, and ultimately the biggest and the highest court of the land gave me judgment, cancelling the purported primary that held in Taraba, or that was assumed to have held in Taraba. So I'm a happy person for that.
But some are not happy with you because they think that you want to play the spoiler. You want to ensure that the APC don't have any candidates for the governorship elections in Taraba.
Yeah, you see, the impression they are creating is that I don't want APC to field a candidate. That's a very wrong notion, completely wrong. I have been in this party for quite 6-7 years. I did a lot for the party, spent a lot of my hard-earned income on the party, and finally, this is happening. So how would somebody be assuming that I don't want anybody on the ballot? I want us to be on the ballot. If you listen to my interviews in the past, I've always pledged that we put our acts together and present a candidate. But I think sometimes the people that are very desperate just want us to have a candidate without going through the process of having a genuine candidate.
So they also said that when the primaries held and the candidates emerged, that you were supposed to at least sheath your swords and work with Senator Boacha. But they don't get the impression that you're doing that.
Now, until the correcting is done, you are aware of how the primaries held, the purported primaries held the second time, the rerun. The rerun that was...
You say it's purported now?
Yes. A rerun that was held, a sham that was held in the name of primaries. How can you drag military men, 7 trucks of military men, and then Buratai, the former chief of army staff, to go to Taraba, to go and hold a primaries that none of the candidates participated. 5 of us are in the race with him. When I say him, I mean Senator Emmanuel Boacha, or former Senator Emmanuel Boacha. How can you go and hold a primary that 5 out of the 6 contestants are not participating, and you are allocating votes to people?
Why are you calling him former senator?
Because he's a sack senator. He's no more a senator in the Senate. You are aware that a court judgment is hanging on him. He was sacked as a senator, even though it is the general belief that once you're a senator, you're always a senator. Maybe he's bearing the name senator because he has been a senator in the past. But, you know, currently he's no more a senator. I'm sure you're aware of that judgment.
But Burta is not a military officer now. So when you say that people think that, are you suggesting that he's coming in his capacity as what? Because he's in politics now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's part of the security architecture of the APC, and a highly respected person that was dragged into that sham that took place in the name of primaries. That's why we're bothered. Otherwise, him as a person, we've looked at him in the past as a very nice, gentle person, except that he's now meddling into things that will spoil his name. Otherwise, we have looked at him as a very refined military officer, but for this action that he took recently...
Why did you say they allocated votes? Is it because you didn't win or something?
We did not participate in an election. For goodness sake, how can somebody be given 5 votes? Senator Yusuf was given 5 votes. I was given 0 votes for an election, or from an election that we didn't even participate in the first place. You are aware we had a conference, the 5 of us, his core contestants. We had a press conference in Yana Hotel, Yana Apartments, a day before the sham, they call primaries. And we're all very, blunt in the fact that we're not going to participate. And the reason why we're not participating were that the Supreme Court did not order for a rerun in the first place. Secondly, even if the Supreme Court had ordered for a rerun, there's a procedure for having an election. You don't just call contestants on the eve of an election and then tell them to go to Taraba and go and participate in an election that you had predetermined the results. You have drafted the list of delegates without consulting anybody. And usually, if it's a direct primaries, it is the entire party members that will line up against or behind the candidates. If it is indirect, you need to do a congress to select the delegates that will participate in the election. All those processes were not followed. On Thursday last week, we had just been informed by text messages that we should prepare to go for an election. And we felt it was an aberration, and we decided not to participate. And even with that, marks were awarded to some people. Like I said, Senator Yusuf got 5
marks.
votes. Yes, votes were allocated.
Like it's an exam. I mean, that's
Exactly.
how when you say marks were allocated, you assume or you think. But take us through. You've said that the Supreme Court did not order a rerun. What did the Supreme Court order?
Yeah, I have with me here even the judgment of the Supreme Court. If you watch what the Supreme Court...
A certified true copy?
I have certified true copy.
Okay.
Right here with me. What the Supreme Court does is, in the enrolled orders, you will see clearly if an election is ordered. If you see wherever there is a rerun of election, it will be ordered specifically by the Supreme Court. But I have the enrolled order with me here.
So does it mean that those who say that relief number 8 was granted were not correct?
Relief number 8 were granted. The relief number 8 were granted, completely granted. And relief 8 is very, very explicit. If you check, it delisted Emmanuel Boacha from participating. It delisted Emmanuel Boacha from participating in the primaries. It also delisted our party from even participating in the 2023 election. So how could such order by the highest court in the land be flouted by people?
Do you want to quickly read? I don't know. I know that the Supreme Court judgments are usually very lengthy, and if I'm going by the bulk of paper in your front there, but do you want to read specifically the parts that you make reference to when you say that is what the Supreme Court said, that it delisted your party even from participating in? Was that what you wanted?
Not
for your party
really,
not to participate in the election?
Not really that. I did not. I'm sure my lawyers did that deliberately because they know the APC might try to violate orders, as it were. I had an 11 relief that I looked for. Relief number 8 says that the first defendant shall forthwith delist the name of the second defendant and the third defendant if submitted or accepted, from amongst the list of political parties and gubernatorial candidates, respectively, for the February 2023 general elections for the office of the governor of Taraba State. That is the order of the Federal High Court Jalingo that was upheld by the Supreme Court. So for goodness sake, how can somebody now go and arrange a sham and call it a primaries? How can you go and organize a primaries in spite of this relief that was awarded by the Supreme Court, that was initially granted by the Federal High Court Jalingo and then affirmed by the Supreme Court?
Have you brought it to the attention of your party that they are in contravention of a Supreme Court judgment?
I would put it to you clearly that I'm back to court again.
Again?
I have gone back to court.
What do you want this time?
I want the parties that have been involved in violating the Supreme Court judgment to be brought to book. I am filing, or let me say I've filed for contempt. Contempt of court order.
Against who?
Against all the parties that are involved. INEC, APC. Against INEC and APC.
But there are several...
And even Emmanuel Boacha.
Okay, but
because by the electoral law, because Emmanuel Boacha participated in violating a process in an election. By law, he's not even supposed to participate. Even if there is an order for a rerun, Emmanuel Boacha was not supposed to participate by the current electoral.
We understand that several high-ranking persons in the party have reached out to you, asking you to let us work together on this one. But they say you just refuse to listen.
That is not true. It's a very big lie. If you watch my appearance in your studio here the last time, I am in the forefront of the party calling us and sitting us down to resolve these issues. They have done nothing to that. We've never been invited. You only have calls from individuals telling you that, you should shield your souls. How do you shield your souls? In the face of complete alienation. How can you shield your souls when people are doing the wrong thing?
So what did you tell those individuals that you wanted to be done?
Like I said, the 2 times I've appeared on your station here, I've told you that we want the party to call all of us together. Let's sit down and find a way to resolve this issue. By the way, how did this issue start? How have we gotten to where we got to today? Emmanuel Boacha joined us roughly about 100 days to the primaries. And like I said the last time, you are joining the party 100 days to primaries. You are meeting people that have been there working and sponsoring the party and funding the party. And then you came in, I'm repeating my words that I'm used to saying. You came in, you ignored everybody because you feel you have a connection in Abuja or that you have a deal with some people who have promised to give you a ticket. You need to work with the people you are meeting. So
is it true then that if Senator Boacha had changed his approach, you would have listened to him?
Chamberlain, I told you the last time I appeared here that if Boacha had, we've had instances, like in Benue State, where Otom came into PDP, consulted with those he met on ground, and won the election. What stops us from making him, supporting him? If he came in and was able to consult with the people he met on ground, he came in a style that we don't understand. You come into a party, you just, first, like I earlier said, you appeared in the presidency and you are given a flag. That was even a wrong foundation. You don't go and join party at the president's office. Yes, the president is the leader of this party, but you need to go to your ward and get registered, get your members at the ward to work with you, then come to your local government, come to the state level, then you come to the national. But he came straight to the national, went straight to the president, and I am sure it was a deceit that they handed him a flag that doesn't even mean anything to us at the end of the day.
What if people interpret your actions as disrespecting the party leader, the president, with all of this that you're doing?
No, the president is somebody that likes justice. He likes fairness and justice. I'm sure you're aware of his support for the case in Imo, where a similar thing happened. And Uba and Mogalu, I'm sure you are very conversant with that case.
There's Anambra.
That was Anambra. The president stood his ground and said the correct thing should be done. So we know we have a president who would insist that the correct thing be done at every point in time.
But the way the party machinery works, anything can happen. What if, at the end of the day, they just feel, look, Chief, we've done what we can, but you just refuse to listen to us, we will suspend you?
I am waiting for the day they will suspend me, if it's something they are contemplating. Once they do that, I will take the next line of action.
So
there are a lot of political parties. Let me land.
Go on, please.
We have a lot of political parties in Nigeria. I was in the PDP. I left the PDP in 2016 when I was driven away, 2015, or let me say 2014, towards the end of 2014, when the same group of people that are coming to try to displace us in APC came and displaced us in PDP. I left for SDP. I ran for governorship under SDP. And when we didn't make it through, in 2016, I came to the APC because I wanted a national party. How can we come and build a party? 6 years into building the party, somebody will come from the same PDP that were chased away to chase us from a party we have built. That is where we are having the issues. And we are saying, I will not leave the party. They are saying we are working for other parties. We are never working for any party. We are working for ourselves. I will remain in this party until the day they tell me you are suspended or you have been sent away. Then I will know the next line of action to take. Of course, you know, there are many parties that are coming up. They are growing very fast. We have the SDP doing a lot of wonders in Taraba. We have Labour Party doing wonders in Taraba. We have NNPP doing wonders in Taraba. And then you have where I left, even though it's never my intention, and I don't think I will go back to the PDP, except if some other miracles happen. I can decide to go to any party. And I'm going to go with a chunk of my supporters.
So right now, even if the dispute within your party, that's the APC, is resolved, it doesn't seem that the APC will have a candidate for the 2023 elections.
As it is today, we don't have a candidate. I was even shocked yesterday that my friend appeared, my friend Senator Bocha appeared in TVC, and they were even referring to him as the candidate of the party. I mean, you go to the INEC portal and see whether his name is there. He can never be. Because in the first place, the Supreme Court did not order for a rerun. So what he did was, it was a social gathering they did. And just maybe those who collected his money want to impress him. They took him there, took military people, went into a place. They were even chased away in 2 earlier venues before they got a third hotel, went into the hotel to do what they did and declare results that were being shown everywhere. And let me correct you. I'm saying my name as a former aspirant. I'm not a former aspirant. I'm a current aspirant. I'm still in the race.
But you say that there's no primaries. Aspirant to what now?
Yeah, maybe the Supreme Court, we still have a judgment that is pending. I'm sure you're aware, Senator Yusuf.
So to that extent, well, you're not aspiring yet until that judgment is through, isn't it?
Now, when you are aspiring, it means you are in the line. So I'm seeing the line. And for now, I must be honest with you, we don't have a candidate in the APC in Taraba. We don't have a candidate. If we have a candidate, let the candidate go and even do a rally in his local government.
Is it still possible for you to get a candidate before the governorship election?
It is still possible because we still have a pending Supreme Court judgment.
Which one, for Senator Yusuf?
For Senator Yusuf. And we expect the judgment out today or in the next few days. And I can still apply to Supreme Court for even the review of my judgment, because by my judgment, we are not even supposed to participate in the election. And I think my lawyers, like I earlier said, did that deliberately because they knew APC might violate the instructions. And that's why they tried to delist even the party from the election. So for me, the issue can still be resolved. We still have about 20-something days to the election. If the party decides to call us today and say, look, let's push for review of the judgment so that we can lift that relief aid that was granted by the Supreme Court and have a consensus and have a candidate. Have one of us, maybe 2 consensus. We will all be willing to go in for the elections. And it's still possible because Tarabans are like I kept saying, the APC is a very strong ground in Taraba. We have built a very strong party.
But you have heard them say you're working for the PDP as well.
That is what they keep saying. How can somebody who was in the PDP, this same group of people came and displaced us and drove us away? We came and built another party, and you left the party 100 days, only 100 days to the primaries. We're even suspecting maybe he's on a sponsorship of the PDP to come and disrupt what we are doing in the APC. That is part of what we are thinking. How can somebody say that? We are working for the PDP. When you left the PDP, you participated in the PDP government for 7.5 years.
Right.
And then you suddenly come to a new party and you are telling those who met on ground that they are working for PDP. How can I work for PDP?
All right.
What has PDP got to give me?
We've got the questions for you from Lagos.
Yes, thank you, Chamberlain. Mr. Kente, your resolve is unmistakable, and you've referred a lot to paragraph 8 in the certified true copy of the Supreme Court judgment. And you say that your lawyers deliberately sought that prayer. If that was one of the prayers you sought, isn't it counterproductive to the aspiration of your party, the All Progressives Congress? And if that was to compel, in your own words, APC to well, I'm not quite sure how you put it now, because you think that the APC may disobey the Supreme Court judgment. If that is the case, if your prayers in that regard had been granted, which platform would you now present, pursue your aspiration under?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, my lawyers drafted these reliefs that I went to look for in the Federal High Court Jalingo with very good intentions. And as it is now, the candidature of Boacha has been delisted, and our party, unfortunately, has also been delisted. That has not been my intention up initial. But like I earlier said, our party, maybe my lawyers have this feeling that the party, and to be honest with you, the party has actually not listened to the voice of reasoning. Our party has gone ahead to give an order for a sham, for a social gathering to be held in the name of a primaries. So that now makes me, initially I was a bit offended with my lawyers on that particular relief that I got. But ultimately I became happy, because if that relief had not been granted, our party would have gone ahead to do what they're planning to do. We don't know the pact they have between them and Senator Boacha. But it's very unfortunate. Back to the question, I am a politician. I vie for governorship 2 times. This is my 3rd attempt. And it's my sincere hope that I should be given the opportunity to run. But I must run through a due process. It must be through a very, very, good process. It shouldn't be through the window. So if at the end of the day I don't have any platform to run on, or ultimately supporting the party ends up suspending me, I'll look for where I'll go and go and run in the coming elections. But for now, we're in the party, we're working for the party. We have a presidential election. Asuwaju is our presidential candidate. He's pushing very well. We have candidates for Senate. I'm sure you know we have won 2 cases for the Senate. The Senate seats were all taken from us. But by the grace of God, we got 2 of the Senate seats back. Senator Sani Danladi got his ticket back, and David Jimkuta got his ticket back for Southern Taraba. So I think we are on course, and we have some other cases that we have also won. So we are working for the party, and we are ensuring that we win the other positions. Even if we don't have a gubernatorial a candidate, we should be able to win the other elections.
Well, sounds like, throwing away the baby with the bathwater when you say that you must be allowed to run, and if not, you'll find other platforms for expression. But the agitation of you alongside Senator Yusuf is that Senator Boacha, is a new entrant to the party. and you're curious as to why the leadership of your party is supporting him. But then again, Senator Yusuf also has his own case at the court, which you referred to. So it would seem as if there is no unity of purpose, even with the quote-unquote respected leaders of the party in your state, that is you and Senator Yusuf. It seems like you're working at cross purposes with all of these court cases.
Let me be very honest with you that this party never had any issue. We never had any major issue until the entrance of these hijackers who came in and did what they did. We never had any party. We had very good working relationship amongst the 6 of us that ran for governorship. The 6 of us, we are consulting with each other, and we are assuring ourselves that whoever emerges, we will support until these people were sponsored from PDP to come and disrupt a process that we had started and that we are on course. It's very unfortunate, but I must be honest with you that our National Secretariat ought to have seen this coming. Because if you want to join a political party, you should come to the party, you make hay while the sun is still shining. You don't come to a party towards an election. It means you came only to come and contest for a position. You are not coming to run, you are not coming for the interest of the party. That is my thinking. So it's a very unfortunate event. I'm highly pained that having spent 7 years building a party, somebody comes overnight and crashes whatever we have done. It's a very painful thing. And the opportunity we have at the moment, I don't know when we will have that opportunity to take over leadership from the PDP in Taraba. It's a very unfortunate event, and we are all pained. I'm sure a lot of people will think we are happy. We are happy winning the cases in courts, but without us running for the governorship in the state, it's a very painful situation for us.
But even if, by the way, some of those cases are still in court, they want to say you've gotten back, including Southern Taraba as well, they've still gone back to court to challenge it, but probably they want to get to the highest level until you can then say, yes, we have it back. But even if you were able to sort all of this and you eventually have a candidate, don't you think all of this will affect your chances at the polls? Because if the other parties have already gotten their candidates, they are campaigning, they're steps ahead, this will affect the party, wouldn't it?
It would, Chamberlain. Let me be very honest with you. We thought with the Supreme Court judgment, we had reached the promised land. With that judgment, a normal group of people will sit down and do an appraisal and then take the next workable step. But you can see even with the Supreme Court judgment, you see the way they have gone. They violated the judgment. They went and set up that social gathering they call primaries and did what they have done. Dragged a very senior respected military officer into the sham. And I'm sure as I speak to you, even the military officers that went, because out of the 7 candidates, seven people that went for the sham gathering, the social gathering, 7 were military men. Retired generals, Lieutenant General Deoshu, and people like that were all dragged into that thing that happened. And at the end of the day, some of them who have taken their time to read my relief aid, as granted by the Supreme Court, are feeling very ashamed to have even participated. That's why the sham or the social gathering took place a week ago. It is 7 days today, and they've not been able to upload the name of anybody, because I'm sure they are feeling very bad that it happened that way.
Have you reached out to the party chairman?
If you listen to our press release, which I have a copy here, at the end of the day, maybe I will drop one with you. If you listen to the contents of our press release, there seemed to be a pact, the continuation of the pact in the Senate that was to produce Lawal and all those things they did in the Senate. I think there must be a pact between the national chairman of our party. He's a highly respected statesman. There must be a pact between him and Emmanuel Boacha. Maybe during the power sharing in the Senate, they allocated Taraba to him, to Boacha. but they allocated Taraba to a wrong person.
Does that mean you haven't reached out to him?
We have had a couple of meetings from the beginning of the crisis. But each time we go there, each time we meet with him, his outburst has been, very, very destructive. I've never seen a party leader, even though, like I complained the last time, there are fairly new people in the leadership of the party. APC has always made this mistake of bringing in new leadership during election. If you have a leadership that has been on ground during the building of the party, towards the election, the leadership will know who has done what, who has helped the party, and they will take decisions based on the best practices. Well, but as you know, APC is used to changing leadership towards election period. And these people are very strange, very new people. They may not have a grasp of what happens at the grassroots or at the state level. On
the statement you made about Senator Lawan and the likes, are you saying that there are people in your party who think that what happened was a pact, an allocation, or manipulation of sorts?
I am a party member. I'm a very strong member of the APC. So what is happening is a sign that there was actually a pact, except that the pact got broken when the first shot went wrong. When the first shot went wrong...
What was the first shot?
The first shot was to present Lawal as a presidential candidate. When it didn't work, the other cards started falling apart. I'm sure it's the aftermath of that pact that we're still having at the moment.
To what extent can we still say that it is a pact when the Supreme Court took a decision on the matter?
Yeah, if it is not a pact, after the Supreme Court judgment, everybody was supposed to have come to the drawing table. Everybody was supposed to have taken a new stand to ensure that we don't go the way we are going. And you can see, again, our presidential rally has been postponed 3 times.
The one in Taraba?
Yes, the one in Taraba. 3 times. And in the last timetable that just came out, we may end up not even having the presidential candidate to visit us as a result of what they have done.
Does it mean you will lose Taraba?
I'm not saying we will lose Taraba. I'm not saying, mind you, in 2019, even though we didn't win the gubernatorial election, the president got over 320-something thousand votes in Taraba. Buhari got over 320-something thousand votes in Taraba. And if you compare the states in the Northeast, I think the performance in Taraba was even the best, even though we didn't win the governorship.
But that was...
So we're still sure we can do well.
No, but you didn't have this crisis at the time.
Yeah, we had little crises then, but we were able to resolve those crises. We had crises with our late sister, Mama Taraba, at that time. But at the end of the day, Buhari won the election, 320-something thousand votes. And the governor even won his election with 320-something thousand votes too.
But now it's different.
But now our party at the national level is mismanaging the entire process. If by the time they present Emmanuel Bocha, we might not even get 25% of the votes that is required in Taraba.
Why is that? He says that he will deliver, he will win the elections in the state, as politicians always say.
Chamberlain, the gentleman appeared and told you God told him he would be a governor. And he went further to say so many things. And when he lost at the Supreme Court, he's trying to force God to accept his own verdict by going to do this sham. And for goodness sake, you are a candidate of the party. You have not been able to go to even your own local government to organize a rally. Even in his own local government, he has not been able to organize a rally. He goes to Taraba with very large number of security men and ends up staying within his house without even going out. How can you say you are acceptable to the people? I don't think it's acceptable to Tarabans. Tarabans are not as cheap as people think.
Oh.
I'm just wondering what the way forward is right now, because, you say that first there is another Supreme Court verdict pending.
Yeah. Yes.
I think that's coming up today.
Today.
So you're also expecting that the party will invite you yourself and all the other contending members But in the event that that doesn't happen, will you go ahead and campaign for your party anyway?
Yes, we are already doing that. I think it was on your news of the campaign, a campaign I organized, I sponsored and organized for Asiwaju Shetima. And I tasked my colleagues and my friends, and we sponsored that campaign. It was a very big campaign we did in Southern Taraba. We tagged it Zona Rally for Tinubu Shetima 2023. I led that campaign, and we did very well.
How effective are those types of campaigns? I mean, because oftentimes when political parties do that, those types of campaigns, they think, oh, look, this is what we did, and everybody can see it. But do those kinds of campaigns, do they really influence how people? Because as you said, other parties are coming up. Labour Party is coming up, NNPP is coming up, and they don't seem to favor those types of big rallies as they do more community engagement. Can you convince them that in spite of what is going on within your party at the state level, that your party is still the party to field for the presidential elections?
I earlier told you that in 2019, Buhari won the election with over 320-something thousand votes, while the governor from the PDP also won his election with 320-something thousand votes. That goes to show you the strength of APC in Taraba. We are campaigning. We are getting more people to support Asiwaju and Shetima at that level. We now have 2 court cases, like I said, that we have won. I am already on my way to Taraba to go and campaign for my senatorial candidate, because the hijackers that came, we got back the Senate seat for Southern Taraba. So we need to go and campaign for the young man. And he has the capacity and the capability to win the election. So I wouldn't say that because we're having crisis, do you just, because there is no naira in circulation, you will stop eating? We have to campaign and continue to survive in the midst of the situation we find ourselves.
So, and yourself and Senator Yusuf are not exactly on the same page, are you?
We are party men. We are on the same page because we've been talking to ourselves. And for us who have said, if any one of us emerges, we will support each other.
Any one of what? Either you or him?
No, any of the 5 of us that are remaining. Oh. 1 left to NNPP. Any of the 5 of us that remain, apart from Senator Emmanuel Boacha, would campaign for such a person.
So even if he, because the grounds you said you had against him was that he didn't carry you people along, he didn't consult with the people that he met on the ground. So if he decides to consult with you now and is the person who eventually emerges, he won't get your support.
How will he emerge when the law even bars him from contesting? The 2022 electoral law is very specific. Once you participate in thwarting a due process in an election, like they have done in the governorship primary election, once you have participated and it has been found that you really thwarted the efforts or tampered with the processes leading to a free and fair election, the law bars you from participating in subsequent elections. That I'm also considering going back to court. It's a criminal offense that attracts 2 years imprisonment without even an option of fine. So instead of becoming a governor, he might end up in prison if time is not taken, because I am going to push and prove to Nigerians that he thwarted and derailed a process, a very good process that we have started. That is possible.
So as we wind down on this one, when you accuse him of having or seeming to have had a pact, as it were, from Abuja, when you left Abuja yourself and went to Taraba, didn't you have some agreement with some leaders that, yes, we will support you as you go for the elections?
Which leaders?
High-ranking members of your party.
We are the leaders of the party. In my senatorial district, I am one of the most senior officers of the party in my own senatorial district. But I did the enrollment. I did the membership drive.
You did not consult with anybody before
we did. We have quite a lot of elders. We have generals. We have former senators whom we are working with. We consult amongst ourselves. We consult amongst ourselves, and most of the things you hear me say here is a consensus. amongst all of us. We have former senators who are professors. We have former generals, very senior to Barate, who are members of our community, Southern Taraba. And we've been consulting with them. Oh. And it's through our common efforts and joint efforts that we're able to even push through the judgment we got for the Senate seat.
Okay, so just in case you missed it, what is it that you want to be done so that the APC can have a candidate in Taraba?
I told you earlier that there are only two ways. We're expecting the next judgment and Supreme Court judgment on Senator Yusuf's case. I asked for 11 reliefs and 8 were granted. Some of my reliefs were not granted. I'm sure what the Supreme Court will do is to grant more reliefs in addition to the ones I have gotten. Because, of course, you know, they will not grant any relief against the ones they've granted. They can't grant a counter relief against the ones they've already granted. So we expect them to grant more reliefs. In granting those reliefs, we might have a leeway. Otherwise, my lawyers have advised another way out of it for us to have a legitimate candidate is for us to write for a review of my judgment. I can write for review of my judgment.
What if party leaders, including the national chairman, alongside several senior persons and the professors you spoke about, called you and said, listen, we are in the situation here. We have to have a candidate. And they appeal to you, for whatever reason, to step down. Would you do it?
I can, but what will you do with the judgment? Unless the Supreme Court reviews its judgment. Otherwise, the judgment is very emphatic.
You can withdraw the case from the courts. If they appeal to you, you can withdraw the case. Your lawyers are acting on your directive.
I don't understand what you mean by withdrawing the case.
If they appeal to you, that we have to have a candidate. And of course, one of the conditions is you withdraw your case from court.
Even if I withdraw, I have 2 cases that I've just filed yesterday. Contempt of a Supreme Court judgment and another case. I still have 2 cases that are pending. The case of altering a process of an election, which is in the 2022 electoral law. Those cases are aftermath of the non-implementation of the judgment of the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court, as it is now, has barred us, Taraba, from participating in the 2023 Taraba APC, from participating in the 2023 governorship election.
Which benefits the PDP and other parties?
Not really. Yes, it benefits the other parties, if you want to say it that way. But like I said, we still have a leeway. And the leeway is for us, Chamberlain, is to ask for review, which can be done if the party calls us and puts us together. The party is avoiding that.
Okay, Chief David Sabo Kente, he says he's not former, but he is vying for the APC, even though he says they barred no candidates. So that's how confusing it can be sometimes. But thank you for coming on, and all the best.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So we will talk about the elections next. Should we be concerned about security for the elections? What should we be concerned about? How should we approach it? These and more are some of the issues we'll highlight in just a moment. Stay with us.